Bryson, let us know when we're ready. Mr. Page?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place that device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, preliminary matter on the AM docket, case number 1529 South Bond Street, a Class BD7, application for transfer of ownership. This matter has been postponed and will be rescheduled for a later date and time. Rosewood Food Concepts, LLC, trading as Woodrow's Barbecue, 1605 Sawgrave Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license here for an application to transfer ownership and location of a Class BD7 presently located at 1301 West Cold Spring Lane, Old Cold Spring Lane to 1605 Sawgrave Avenue, requesting off-premise catering. Please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning. Would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you speaking for him?
I'm going to let him speak for himself today. This is Mr. Matthew.
Hi.
Matthew, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
You apparently had Steve Fruin sign your application. Mr.
Sure.
Fruin and I used to practice law together up until a week or two ago. Just want to point that out to you. I hope
Wonder.
nobody has an objection.
He was just in yesterday.
Pardon?
He was just in yesterday for lunch, so.
Okay. Tell us about this.
So
Mount Washington, right?
it's in Mount Washington. It's right across the street from the Mount Washington Tavern, right next to French Restaurant and the Creole Restaurant in the same block. It's a small little venue. It's Texas-style barbecue. We're mostly fast casual, so the service is pretty quick. And the opportunity came about for me to purchase a liquor license from the Backstretch Saloon. They were wanting to move on with their lives, and it seemed like a great opportunity for me to be able to augment my business with a small bar, and but mostly just service for a barbecue.
Were you operating on West Cold Spring Lane?
No, that was the Backstretch Saloon, which is there. So I'm purchasing the license.
The license from there and moving it to where you are?
Yes, sir.
I understand. Okay. Okay. And do the commissioners have questions?
Who's operating the establishment on a daily basis?
Me. I'm sweating right now because no, just kidding.
Just you? Do you have a staff or anything?
I have staff. Yes, yeah, they're all.
How many folks?
I have 7 staff.
Okay. And do they have alcohol training?
One does. I'm hiring a second, and then I'll be the third. So we'll have a.
Okay, and you're familiar with our rules and regulations?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bauer has told you about them?
All the important ones.
A couple questions. Can you speak to your background experience?
So background experience, prior to me starting the restaurant business for about 20 years, I was in pharmaceutical sales. Prior to that, for about 10 years, I was in a variety of different restaurants, front of house, back of house. I was the catering manager, worked at, I'm trying to think down here, Pier 500, it was way back in the day, Sydney, gosh, I forget her last name, but yeah, so I worked in a variety of different restaurants, managed, bartended, waitered, cooked, the whole line.
And then my other question is, we don't often see, although we do occasionally see, not just a transfer of ownership, but a transfer of location. So if you could speak to the location piece, I know that this location, as I understand it, is in a restaurant, kind of customer-friendly, foot traffic location.
Yes, sir.
Have you reached out to any community groups, any of the other restaurateurs?
Sure. Yes, so I have a letter of a good neighbor agreement, if you will, from the Merchants Association. So I talked.
Is this our copy?
That's your copy, yeah. And it's signed and.
Okay.
So is this in the nature of agreement of various restrictions that you decided that you can live
Correct.
with?
Yeah, like I'm not going to become a liquor store. Essentially, that was the biggest concern that they had, and that's what I don't want to be.
And are you willing to have these terms be part of your license?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, I also reached out on June 12th to the Mount Washington Improvement Association. They're the essentially the homeowners association in the village above us, and they had no opposition. They didn't. Probably next month they would be able to send you guys a letter of, but they said they had no objection. You can certainly reach out to them if you do have any questions. Reach out to the Mount Washington School, to the parents and the PTA. I've done fundraisers for them. They want me to succeed. So
Thank you.
My question doesn't go to the qualifications, I'm just curious. That's a pretty heavily trafficked area for places, so you think it's a good location for a business? Aren't you in heavy competition?
With if I was a French or another tavern or, then yes, but we're pretty unique in the sense that we're barbecue and we've kind of made a decent name for ourselves with the quality of food that we have, and we're getting more people into the village than I think than has been in a while, because it's been sort of dormant. for a
You've been
while.
open over a year, correct? Yeah.
Anything further?
Nothing further.
Anything further? Okay.
No, thanks.
Thank you. Then, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, which includes an amendment for catering, and the testimony that was received today, as well as the agreement that has been made part of the record, and which, if your license is approved, will become a limitation on your license to the extent it's enforceable, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer of the license.
I too join my colleagues and vote to approve the transfer of the license, the ownership and location, and to attach the Good Neighbor Agreement to the license to the extent it's permitted by law.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'd call exhibits for the record. F Exhibit 1, Good Neighbor Agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
HOA Maryland Restaurant Holder, LLC, trading as Hooters Harbor Place, 301 Light Street, Suite 1445, first floor. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer a location of the Class B, presently located at 301 Light Street, second floor, to 301 Light Street, Suite 1445 on the first floor, requesting live entertainment and outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Counsel,
Thank you very much. Leanne Schreckengoss with Royston, Muller, McLean, and Reed here on behalf of Hooters.
do you raise your right hand, sir, please?
Yes. You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes.
So we finally got this straightened out?
Finally got it straightened out. Yes,
And
we're nice
Mr.
nice
Akris is not even here
to
to...
enjoy it with us all.
He's actually vacationing in preparation to.
Exactly.
Actually, he's watching it live. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
So are you ready to, has it moved, actually?
Yes, it is physically moved downstairs. We finally, as of the end of May, have the use and occupancy permit after 4 years. 3.5 years. I don't know if the board recalls, this started in 2015. We initially applied for an application, put it on hold. The board originally heard it in 2016, approved it. We hit our 180-day limit, withdrew it, reapplied. Hit that 180-day limit, you guys kindly granted a hardship extension, hit that 90-day limit, and now we're back here. And we're
Okay.
official, everything in the file is complete. We're ready to have it issued tomorrow.
And are you ready to open?
They're open and operating now.
Just without the alcohol?
Correct.
Okay.
What's your client's name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, this is Mark
I'm
Grendes.
Mark Grendes.
Spell your last name for the record.
GRENDYSZ.
And Mark's an assistant manager at the
And are
restaurant.
your people alcohol trained?
Yes, we certify all of our service staff, ServSafe certified.
Okay.
And the general manager is, he actually is an instructor for the region, so.
Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
I don't have any questions.
Just that you already currently have outdoor table service and live entertainment?
Correct.
So you're just going to continue those operations?
correct.
Okay.
That
I don't
is
have any
correct.
questions.
Okay. Then on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the testimony received and the proffer from counsel, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I, too, join my colleagues in supporting the transfer. Good luck. I know it's been a long road.
Thank you yet again, and thanks for all your assistance.
Say hello to Mr. Gillis.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
No exhibits for the record.
Union Craft Brewing Company, LLC, trading as Union Craft Brewing, 1700 West 41st Street. This is a Class D beer license. Application to add live entertainment. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Good morning, Caroline Hecker, Rosenberg Martin Greenberg, on behalf of Union Craft. I'm joined by Adam Bennett with Union Craft. Unfortunately, the other two licensees were not available to be here this morning, but I think we can go forward without them.
Would you raise your right hand, sir?
Swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth,
I do.
Your name, please?
Adam Benish.
Danish? Okay, thank you.
So you may recall we were here in April on an application to transfer the Class D license from Union Craft's old location to their new location at Union Collective. They are now open and operating there. But at the time we had applied originally to transfer the license, they didn't have approval for live entertainment from the zoning board. We've since gone to the zoning board, gotten that approval. There's a copy of that in the file of items that I've handed out, most of which are just duplicates of what you saw the last time. Nothing has changed in terms of their operation. There is a photograph in there of the tap room where we have a small stage area where we're proposing to offer live entertainment. It'll likely be small bands, a DJ from time to time, pub trivia, perhaps small theatrical performances, that type of thing. The BMCA's approval for live entertainment covers the whole facility, so perhaps we could have a DJ in the climbing gym or in the a band in the coffee roaster area. There are several other tenants within the Union Collective operation, and the live entertainment approval covers the whole facility. So they do have an outdoor area as well, and it's the zoning board approval covers that area in addition with the live entertainment. So.
And did they impose conditions?
They did. They're the board standard conditions about maintaining copies of the permits and licenses on the premises were agreeable to all of those conditions.
I actually spoke to Mr. Baumgardner recently. I didn't realize that David Tanner had retired.
Yes, he
and
did.
After 100 years, and that there's I knew David Tanner when I was in my 20s, so I've...
I think he was around when Baltimore first adopted a zoning code.
So
I'm kidding.
I have an email from the Medfield Community Association supporting the application as well, which will make part of the record. Commissioners have questions?
I don't have any questions.
I do not.
Okay. And if Mr. Greenfield wants to come do a stand-up routine, you'll allow him to do that?
We would welcome him.
Just so you can laugh at me, not laugh at me.
First in line.
Okay, thank you. Then, on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits which have been received, including the letter in support from Medfield, and testimony and proffer, I would vote to approve the addition of the live entertainment component.
I concur and vote to approve the addition of the live entertainment
I
component.
vote to
as
approve
well.
the live entertainment for the license.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Medfield Community Association. Applicant Exhibit 1, business plan. Thank you.
Mr. Page, just 1 minute, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Are we ready?
Thank you all.
Good luck.
Josh Management, Inc., trading as 1010 Ramen, 413 North Charles Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, a request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Gadensky, 320 North Charles Street, representing the licensees.
Good morning. Would you raise your right hand, sir, please?
Sure. You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And your name, sir?
Jason, last name Jiao, J-I-A-U.
Thank you.
He's one of the licensees. This particular establishment is that's straight across from the cathedral. I don't know if the Archbishop goes there or not. We'll find out. And
I wouldn't be surprised.
it's downhill. They closed December 31st to make some changes, improvements, and spruce the place up. Unfortunately, they have another restaurant in Annapolis that required a lot of their time to go and pick the family over there. And he also has a restaurant on the 400 block of East Baltimore Street, no liquor license there, that has a lot of students that come there from the University of Maryland. So they were knocked back in their time to make the improvements there. There are no structural improvements, just freshen the place up and try to get it reopened again. So the hardship would be they need the license to be able to reopen, and he thinks in another couple months they would be able to at least get to the point where they could reopen that restaurant also.
And what kind of restaurant is it?
You know, I used to say Oriental. People tell me Oriental are rugs, so you have to say Asian.
It's an,
That's
all
what
right.
I was told. I'm this time young and bashful at that time.
Cuisine. Okay, and are you on that block with Soto Sopra?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Commissioners?
That's Italian.
Good.
I got to
You're
put the license
perceptive.
up there.
Do the Commissioners have questions?
I don't have any questions.
So the hardship is simply they just haven't had the opportunity to,
They got sidetracked to go to the other places, and now they finally got to put their effort in there, and they need the license to reopen to be competitive with everybody else that's there.
all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the letter requesting at the proffer from council, any testimony, I would vote to approve the extension.
I too vote to approve the extension.
I vote to approve the extension.
Good luck.
Thank you.
No exhibits for the record.
Demetrius Tavern, 3820 Falls Road. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. A request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
Good morning, Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of leaseholder in this matter at 3820 Falls Road.
Good morning.
No jokes for me today.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Your name, sir?
Charles Jerde, G-J-E-R-D-E.
Okay. So this, he holds the lease on the premises and is trying to sell the license?
He holds a lease on the premises I'm sorry, let me make this clear. Poppy's Hamden LLC holds a lease on the premises dated April 9th, 2018. I have a copy of it here. And Poppy's Hamden LLC acquired or is in the process of acquiring this license through the lease. And so that would, the hardship here would obviously be that this deal is tied to the liquor license, and therefore we need it to stay viable just long enough to file for the transfer and go ahead and get them open again.
And then it will open at 3820 Falls Road?
Yes.
Okay.
And just so you know, this hearing got set in really quickly. I was surprised. I filed for the extension shortly before I went off for vacation. The letter came when I was out of town. So I was unable to actually get the licensee here, who was open on January 12th into the morning of January 13th. He's in Ocean City. He didn't even have access to a smartphone where he could have sent the board an email, but he reminded me, and thus I asked Ms. Russell to bring it over. The renewal file in his 2018-19 renewal application, licensee James Dimitri indicated under oath that the establishment closed on January 12th. We were told January 13th, but that could have been a difference of a Saturday night, Sunday morning kind of thing. Additionally, he also hand wrote a letter to the board at the time of renewal indicating the January 12th closing date.
Okay, so you want this March 8, 2018 letter to be made part of the record?
Yes, thank you. And so, interestingly enough, I think today is the 180th day since the closure of the establishment. Therefore, we'd ask for 180 days from today's date.
Okay. Is it 90 or 180?
No, this is 180.
It is,
Mr.
okay.
Chairman.
All right. And the establishment is going to be a bar?
Yes, Poppy's Tacos. We have Poppy's Tacos Fells Point that's been operating for 3.5 years, so this will be Poppy's Tacos Hamden.
Okay. Okay. Anything further?
I don't have any questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the letter from Mr. Fogelman, the explanation provided today, testimony, and this letter from the licensee dated March 8th, 2018, I'd vote to approve the extension.
I too vote to approve the extension.
I concur in approving the extension.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck, thank you.
I call exhibits for the record. Letter from licensee dated March 8th, 2018. Thank you.
In Bloom, 1444-46 Light Street. This is a Class D beer and wine license, a request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
Would you raise your right hand, ma'am, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your name, ma'am?
Cecilia Ben Alcazar.
And Ms. Benalcazar, you wrote a letter dated June 18, wanting to transfer the license when your tax lien is paid. Have you paid the tax lien?
No, actually, if you wouldn't mind, I can elaborate on our circumstance. So my
Okay.
husband and I are the licensees of In Bloom, which is now closed. So our restaurant went under another name, but we operated that for 6 years at the 1444 location and closed it in the late spring, along, unfortunately, with 5 other restaurants that closed in the Federal Hill, South Baltimore area. So we have not been operating for several months now. The landlord of the building lives in Oregon, and she is now selling the building. She has letter of intent for a purchaser, so she wants us to be here so that we can extend her license for hardship, and then she would be able to transfer that to the next tenant.
Okay.
And she will just, that will be taken care of, obviously, the tax lien prior to the transfer.
And what's her name?
Deborah Mazzolini.
Do the commissioners have questions?
I don't.
I don't.
Okay.
Just a letter from my husband. I'm not sure if you just want to put that on file. He is unable to be here, so that just says
Okay.
that I will be representing.
We'll make that part of the record. Thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, including your letter of June 18, 2018, and your testimony this morning, as well as the exhibit, I'd vote to approve the extension.
I too vote to approve the extension license.
I vote to approve the extension for how many days? Is it 90 or
180.
an additional 180 days?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I call exhibit for the record. Licensee Exhibit 1, letter from Kevin Perry dated July 12, 2018. Thank you.
Mr. Page, is that the morning docket?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until 1 p.m.
Would you please advise Larry? Bryson, whenever you're ready. Mr. Page?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Now begins the PM session of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being no preliminary matters on the PM docket.
May I interrupt you for just a second, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Page? So, welcome everybody to the afternoon session. We have a special guest with us this afternoon, Ms. Mia Chrysamalos, who is here, who is studying in the law and public policy at Eastern Tech Magnet program this summer. And welcome, we're glad to have you. Obviously, you have the looks in the family.
Agent Chris Amalis' daughter. Welcome.
Okay, Mr. Page, let's proceed.
Sure. I think there's been a request to hear case number 7 first, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And that case would be the One Sports Bar and Lounge, 4314-16 Curtis Avenue. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license here for violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, on April the 28th, 2018. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky representing the licensee.
Good afternoon. Would all those who have may give testimony in this case please come forward and raise your right hands? So, Mr. Kadensky, is this an admission or denial?
I'd be in denial.
Okay. And who's going to testify on behalf of the board?
I guess the police officer, I was talking to him outside, so it was the first time he's ever testified here, so he's not sure the one that has the police report. I don't want to put words in his mouth. so
So who was present, and had personal knowledge of what happened? Okay, so whichever one wants to come first, you have to step up, please, and give us your name.
Officer Bongiorno,
And can you spell it for the gentleman down here to my left?
Bongiorno.
Okay, and officer, what happened on April 28th at 431416 Curtis Avenue?
I was conducting routine patrol. I noticed that there was a large crowd.
Can I just ask you to lean a little into this
I'm
because we're
sorry.
being recorded and televised?
Okay. So I was conducting routine patrol in the area of the 4300 block of Curtis Avenue where the club one is. I noticed that there was a large crowd, so I decided to stay within visual shot of it, keep an eye on the crowd. About 1:45 in the morning, I saw a crowd being pulled out of the club by security. Security looked like they had a handle on it, and then it kind of was going back and forth, so I decided to get out of my patrol car and help disperse the crowd. While I was doing so, I heard gunshots come from the area of Hazel and Pennington,
How far is that from the location?
about a block away. And I called for additional units and ran towards the area. When I ran up towards the area, I found two female victims, both shot. I did not see the shooter or shooters, and I did not see anybody fleeing the area that would make me suspect that they were the shooters.
Okay. Anything further?
No.
Mr. Kadensky?
And we talked out there, so now, you said you didn't have any problems with the security. They were cooperative and they worked with you out there?
Security, the one security guard who I'm not familiar with, I don't know who he is. He did follow me up when I ran up towards Hazel and Pennington. But security looked like they were doing what they were supposed to do.
To provide assistance?
Well, the one helped me. The rest stayed behind, I guess, to deal with the rest of the crowd.
How many security guards were there?
I'm not sure.
No, you could testify right now. All right, so when you got there, you had any problem with the security? They were doing their job while you were there. That's when you heard the shots, and about a block away is when you went and saw
I observed security dealing with the confrontation. I'm assuming inside the club because they came outside the club with people. They were dealing with them, trying to separate those people from fighting. At that time, I exited my vehicle and began to disperse the rest of the crowd. That's when the shots came out.
All right, and then as far as the two people that were shot, you don't know where they came from or
I do
who
not
shot
know.
them or anything other than they were shot?
Yes, other than they were shot. I don't know if they were inside the club at one point or not.
I have
I'm
no
not sure.
information on that. And other than that, the people at the club were cooperative. You said you didn't ever went back after that because you were
I did not.
occupied with the people that were there?
Correct.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Sergeant, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, okay.
I'd make a motion at this time because there's no evidence of, if you read the report, it has to do with the shooting, but it had no connection with the particular establishment unless you want to hear from the security.
No, but let me ask the House just one more question. So, you said the security had ushered people out who were in an altercation and they were trying to disperse the crowd. Were they acting appropriately? The
From
security?
what security was dealing with the people fighting. I was the one that was trying to push the rest of the crowd away from security down towards Hazel Street. And that's when the shots came out from at Pennington and Hazel.
Okay.
But there were no arrests made in the parking lot or anywhere
Not to my
there?
knowledge,
No,
no.
no, when you were there, I mean,
I
you
didn't make
know.
any
Okay.
arrests, no.
May we hear a bit, if they know, about what went on inside that led to that?
Had security guy talk us. I think that's the
That's
one.
fine.
Can I move over here? just a little
Let me
bit?
reserve on your motion. I just want to hear.
Okay. Why don't you come over here and state your name and address?
How you doing? Detective Becker with BIS Protection. It's 146 West Ocean Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21230.
Your full name?
Stephen J. Becker.
Stephen Becker?
Yes, sir.
And you provide security for this establishment, is that correct?
Yes.
And in a normal, any night, how many people would be inside and how many be outside?
The capacity is 295, but on a normal night, it's around 100 people.
And then how many security people would you have inside and outside?
Normally, it's between 3 to 4 outside and 3 to 4 inside.
And you had advised me that the people that are outside there, you have 3 of them that are armed, are permitted to be armed. is
Including
that correct?
myself, yes.
All right, and on this particular night, you were there and you were escorting some people out.
Yes, the bouncers in the inside, it was 2 women that had a small altercation. They came outside and we dispersed it.
And then your job is to get people off the parking lot?
Yes, after the business hours, we let people know it's time to go to their vehicle. I was also the officer that ran up on Hazel, the assistant, the officer when the shooting took place.
All right, and then at that time, your job is when you come back, you're there to see that everybody leaves, and then you leave when the owner leaves. Is that correct?
I'm the last man on the totem pole, so I make sure the owner and all the employees for the staff, they get into their vehicle and leave. So once the parking lot is clear, I leave.
All right, and then along with that, there's sufficient lighting on the parking lot?
It's just 16 cameras, and the whole spot is lit up. So it's pretty much, you can see what's going on.
All right, and then other than, and there are other establishments within 2 or 3 blocks there.
Correct. Not only is there another establishment that's on the corner of, was that Pennington?
Yes.
It's also houses, like 3 houses at the end of it, and sometimes people hang in front of their own house. We can't tell them get from in front of their house. So the club, we keep clear, but the sidewalk and the side streets and the other bars, we don't patrol those areas. Only this one spot.
You're not armed, are you?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you are?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Are all of your people?
All of it's 3 of us on the team that are armed, and we're private detectives, so we're all armed under BIS protection.
Okay. Do the commissioners have questions?
You can go ahead.
Have you shared any of the camera footage with the police department?
Negative. No police officer has came with a warrant or anything about the cameras.
There's been no request.
No, sir.
And nobody came back after the shooting?
It hasn't been any. This is the first time that I heard of it from the owner.
I'm thinking what you were asking, the same, where you saw the ladies that were shot, they were outside of your camera.
Right. They was, I want to say maybe going up towards Pennington off. You couldn't see them from the spot.
I understand that. I guess my question is, I'm trying to understand whether this skirmish or whatever it is occurred inside.
To my knowledge, no, because when the ladies that had dispersed, they were family members. There was a small argument. A sister was arguing with a sister about a
We've
tape.
had cases here, Detective, where we have families
Got you.
violence, so we're
the
used
crowd that was having a skirmish was still in front of the parking lot getting dispersed when the shots rang off. So it was a different crowd from the initial crowd that exited the club where the shots rang off. It was a different crowd of people. So to my knowledge, I didn't recognize any of the people that got shot or that was up there that was in the one spot.
Can I ask the officer a question?
Sure.
So, Officer Bongiorno, which is a great name, by the way.
Thank you.
The chairman would agree. Is your testimony that the security staff, could they have done anything differently?
I'm not sure. Like I said, all I observed was security pulling people out of the club and trying to separate the group that they pulled out from one another. As I came on, I was parked on Curtis Avenue, so when I exited my vehicle, I didn't assist security with what they were handling. I was just trying to push the crowd away from them, and that's when the shots came out.
Now, let me ask one last question. Has there been any follow-up about these 2 female victims?
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you.
Commissioner? Okay. Anything further, Mr.
No,
Gadowski?
I think it was a pretty accurate, look, if this was only one shooting that happened in the city that night, then I can understand, but it really had nothing to do with the operation of this place, and they have a pretty good staff, and they assist, and in fact, the police officer was the special was trying to assist the police officer in making sure he was safe.
Okay, so I am inclined to grant your motion because first of all, this licensee has had the license for a little over a year, but there has no history of violations. They've gone to the extent of hiring a significant security staff who seem trained and well prepared to deal with it. This was not a happy situation, but according to the officer who came on the scene, he thought that it was being managed by the security staff, and then out of the blue, shootings occurred, and that took your attention away from what was going on. So I don't really see in the record a basis for finding a violation. So I'd be inclined to grant Mr. Knessie's motion unless my fellow commissioners can convince me otherwise.
Yeah, look, this is a problem that we see all too often, and sounds like the police department did its job and security did its job, and unfortunately, we have 2 victims, so I would concur with your granting.
It's not a happy situation, but it is what it is, and I grant the motion to dismiss.
I concur with the motion as well.
Thank you, Officer.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You got anything, son?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Ganessi. Like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Officer Bajano. Board Exhibit 2, Investigation Report, Inspector John Chrisomalis. Thank you.
Birdland Sports Bar and Grill, LLC, trading as Birdland Sports Bar and Grill, 6317-19 Bel Air Road. This is a Class B, beer, wine, and liquor license here for violation of Rule 4.14A, live entertainment without authorization on April the 14th, 2018. Violation of Rule 3.09B, restroom facilities and health regulations on April the 14th, 2018. Violation of Rule 3.03A, records on April the 14th, 2018. And violation of Rule 3.03C, records on April the 14th, 2018. Please come forward.
But all those who are here about this case, raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Is one of you Mr. Hostin?
This is Mr. Hostin, Mr.
And-
Jenkins.
Mr. Jenkins. Gentlemen, you're charged with 4 different violations on April 14. Do you wish to admit the violations and explain, or deny them and have a hearing?
Admit and explain.
Okay. Well, let's go to that then. Thank you. About the disc jockey.
All right. We've hired. We've been owning restaurants in the city for a number of years, and we've been very innocuous over the last 15 years as people, as well as you guys know, and everyone else in the city. We're pretty reputable. We have another restaurant that's opening next year, early next year in Northwood, so we've been working on that. So we decided to hire a management company, and we do have our management agreement here. And it seemed that went dreadfully wrong on our case. So
who was managing on April 14th?
His name was Kenny's last name was Tyler. So
No
it's-
longer with you?
No.
But he didn't understand that he needed a special license for the live entertainment?
There were a number of things that went on, and we're not known for being absentee managers, but like I said, we have another restaurant that's opening up very soon, so we decided to hire a management company for the first time, and it's not something that we're accustomed to doing. We thought it was going to be fairly innocuous, but it wasn't. So we're definitely working on all of these. As we have so many people to attest to, I came running down after I saw everything. But also, I think I know a few people over here, and I think they'll tell you we've never had a problem before while running our restaurants, and a number of our restaurants have been are award-winning in the city.
You gentlemen do understand that you need a live entertainment license to do that?
Yes, and we didn't know, and I know ignorance is not a good excuse right now, but we've corrected all of that.
Okay. So, and has the health department reopened your?
No, they haven't, but we're going through, we've hired a company that's helping us with that, because we've never had any health violations before, and every time we go for our hearing, things seem to be coming up. So we've hired Barbara Fortune as our consultant to assist with that.
You mentioned hearings, you mean before the health department?
Pardon me?
You said when you go for hearings.
Yeah, we have a hearing. After we've cleared up everything, we're going for our hearing in front of the health department also. But like I said, we've hired Barbara Fortune as our consultant to assist with that. And I think the health department knows who she is.
Okay, and what was the story with the records that evening?
They had purchased liquor, and they didn't purchase it from a reputable source, and unbeknownst to us, and we've also cleared that up also. All of that's been taken off of the property and off the premises. Once again, I say, we've never had this problem before, so, and we've been in front of you guys on a number of occasions for good things. So, we're here to take what's gonna happen and move forward, because we'll be in front of you guys again with our new restaurant. So we're hoping that we can hopefully perpetuate a little bit of optimism here.
So they wanted to conceal the purchase records. What about the employee records?
Well, Terrence and I were the only ones running because of our limited sales, we were the only ones running the restaurant for a number of years.
So you didn't maintain those kind of personnel records?
Not with them, no. And that was something that that should have been something that they were doing.
With the management company?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So with the I-9 naturalization and everything, no. So that's why we're standing here today.
So, Chief Fossler, do you have knowledge of this facility?
The facility on Blair Road, Birdland? Yes, sir.
And are the statements that were just provided to us accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Well, I don't want to be critical, but the talk about a restaurant I'm unfamiliar with. This was a nightclub. It wasn't a restaurant. The activity that was going on was, I haven't done this for many years. It was what I would call a nightclub. I mean, it didn't resemble a restaurant, except that it served alcohol. And that's the only example of what a restaurant. I don't know.
And it was targeted by the Social Club Task Force because of its location?
Actually, the Social Club Task Force was out, and the district commander from Northeast reached out to the lieutenant and called us on an emergency to respond to this location because of a lot of activity going on there. We were actually in Northwest Baltimore, had to travel all to drop what we were doing based on what the lieutenant from the vice lieutenant said. We had to drop everything and head over there.
But they weren't charged with any of those things, right?
Well, when we got there, there were people outside, there was some noise, et cetera, but after our arrival, that dissipated pretty quickly, and then we proceeded inside with health department and housing and vice, and they ended up being closed that night. So we charged appropriately.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Mr. Fossler?
No, it sounds about accurate.
Okay. Anyone else? Detective, anybody? Okay. Commissioners?
I don't have any questions.
So just a couple things. So I want to make sure I understand your contention, Mr. Jenkins, although you do admit these. So you're suggesting that you have a management company that just sort of dropped the ball? Yeah. Okay. And and we've been in front of you guys before, and like I said, we're well-known restaurateurs, and I know this is not a good excuse, but we were absentee managers. But I just want to make sure you're aware, and I think you are, but I want to reiterate it. Employee records, they have to be on your premises. They can be locked up, but they have to be available. Yes. So I would just familiarize yourself again with the rules, and I'm sure you'll have the systems in place to avoid this from occurring in the future. Yes.
You say you'd been before us before, not as to this license for any violations?
No, not for any violations ever. This is our second license.
Obtaining the license,
Obtaining
you mean.
licenses, and this is our second license, so we've been in front of the liquor board.
And sold the license as well.
Yes, and we sold another BD7 before.
And you've had this one since June of last year?
No,
According to our record.
13.
Well, we had the BD7.
Oh, we had the
we sold it,
BD7,
and we
yes,
put it to-
exactly.
So you've been there for 5 years, but
Yes.
with this other license? Okay. And no violations previous on either?
No.
Okay. Well, anything else?
I guess the only question I'm still, so you're not open currently?
No, we're not open currently because there were some pretty significant health violations that were there also that were completely overlooked, and we're currently taking care of those health violations also. So as of right now, Terrence and I are back to managing the facility. So it is.
Were you fined by the health department?
Yeah, I'm assuming we're going to be. So, yeah, we're just trying to get all this behind us, and we're trying to get over the hill. We're trying to get over the hurdle. But I'm assuming there's going to be something coming from the health department.
Okay.
I just want to say, in addition to the health code, the fire department was there with us, so it was multiple fire code and health code violations. Now it's to the outcome of the fire department's investigation as far as their fines. That I do not know. I was kind of hoping they would be here today, but again, they're not. So.
Yeah. The fire department, we do have our fire permit, and they have to come in and do our inspection. So the fire, it's kind of, that domino effect, if you will. So the health department will come in, the fire department's actually coming with the health department. They're going to re-inspect our hoods, they're going to re-inspect our fire extinguishers. But like I said, we've hired someone extremely reputable in Miss Fortune, and she's helped us over some hurdles before with our opening of our other restaurants. So I think we're going to come out on the shiny side, if you will, of this.
So you cannot open until they get the permit?
But, and we're being a little bit more critical on ourselves also. So even above and beyond what they're asking, we're going to, take additional steps and put additional, safety nets, if you will, in place.
Okay. So gentlemen, on the basis of your admission, the evidence that we have in our record, the testimony that we received today, I would find a violation of Rule 4.14, small a, on April 14, 2018, a violation of Rule 3.09, small b, on April 14, 2018, a violation of Rule 3.03, small a, on April 14, 2018, and a violation of Rule 3.03, small c, on April 14, 2018. As to each of those violations, I would impose a $500 fine for a total of $2,000, and I'm doing that because of your having no history of violations, and I would give you 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.14, little a, on April 14, 2018, violation of Rule 3.09b, little b, on April 14, 2018, violation of Rule 3.03, little a, on April 14, 2018, and a violation of Rule 3.03, little c, on April 14, 2018. And I concur with the $500 imposition of a fine as to each violation for a total of $2,000, and I'm fine with 30 days to pay.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.14A and would agree with a $500 fine. I find a violation of Rule 3.09B and also agree with the fine of $500, as well as a violation of Rule 3.03A with a fine of $500 and a violation of Rule 3.03C, additionally with the imposition of a $500 fine. And I also assume that the liquor license is also on hold until the rest of the establishment is open?
Well, yeah, we can't open,
We can't open it until that, right?
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Can I ask a question? So is there, one, we're not going to appeal the process, but is there a way that we can extend it out? Because this has been an arduous process on our part. So is there a way that we can extend it out for 90 days?
I don't think we have that authority, do we?
Need to put that request in writing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I can put it in writing.
All right, do that, please.
And submit it to the executive director?
Yes.
Got it.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Mr. Jenkins.
Let's move it on.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Investigation Report, Chief Inspector Mark Foster. Board Exhibit 2, Baltimore City Police Department Report, Detective Greenhill.
That's what I thought. Where is Tom when we need him?
And he uses less words.
414 LLC, trading as Downtown Lounge, 414-16 East Baltimore Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, and a Class AE adult entertainment license. Here for violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, on March the 19th, 2018, and violation of Rule 3.04, adult entertainment license, owner to prevent nuisance, on March the 19th, 2018. Please come forward.
All those who are going to testify in this matter, come forward and raise your right hands, please. Do we have anybody testifying? Okay.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Is one of you Mr. Jackson?
Good morning, good morning.
That-
Charles Greer.
Here, Miss- Okay. Okay, Mr. Silva, you have a violation of your alcoholic beverage license and a violation of your adult entertainment license on March 19th. Do you wish to admit or deny those?
Deny those.
Okay. So, Inspector?
The officer that wrote, Agent Chris Amalis, Baltimore City Liquor Board, the officer that wrote the report and that is not here to testify. I was called off the street to the location, and when I arrived, all I can testify to is what I saw once I arrived. The primary officer and the lieutenant that handled the situation looks like they are not here currently. But I'd be more than happy to tell you what I saw once I arrived.
What did you see?
I received a call from Lieutenant Olson from the Baltimore City Police Department, Central District, about it was a signal 13, officer needs assistance, and he called me to come down to the location because of the downtown club had a huge fight. Once I arrived at the location, there was a male and a female fighting in the middle of the street. Officers at that time had tried to break up the fight, which caused a bigger scene. It was approximately 10 to 15 people fighting at that time. Security and police did break it up. I believe that I believe the female was arrested, but that's all I can testify to.
Do you have questions for the inspector?
No.
Say no.
No questions. I have,
Okay. Do you wish to testify?
I'll let, this is Greer, the head of
Morning,
security.
how you doing?
Yeah. Can you step up to the microphone, sir?
Yes, sir. How you doing today?
And your name, please?
My name is Charles Greer.
Okay. And you are?
My company is CW Greer Executive Protection and Security Services. We do provide the security, contract security for the club itself.
How many personnel do you have there?
At the time of this incident, it was 7 on duty.
Okay.
1 officer armed and 6 security. We had 4 on the floor, 3 outside. Like I said, when the incident did happen, it was an isolated incident for us inside. We saw that it was a verbal altercation. The gentleman that ignited the altercation, we escorted him out. And when we escorted him out, he was being real belligerent and all that. The situation was that husband and wife was having a party. And the gentleman that we escorted out, he must have touched the wife inappropriately. The husband got mad. We told him we'll take care of it. We escorted the guy out. When he got outside, he was acting all wild and everything. Our job, like I said, as security, of course, we're not bouncers. We're a security company. We are to detect, deter, and report. Once we got him outside, we did inform the police what was going on and the situation was going on. It was approximately, remember, like 5, 6 police outside. When the husband came outside, the gentleman that we did escort, he was being real belligerent all out in the middle of the street. The husband came outside, he was mad. We isolated him, let him know we taking care of it. Of course, he was mad and arguing and everything. That's where the argument, the surrounding areas, as far as what the gentleman that's not part of the club, there's a lot of gang activity going on down there. There's more or less hyping it up. And our main concern was the safety for the patrons inside, the safety for us for the parties inside, because both parties had approximately, remember, like 6 to 8 per party. So we had to go back to the party, as far as the guys inside, to make sure there's no overspill of, altercation as far as arguments and all that. Once we notified the police, they came over and was dealing with the gentleman that was belligerent. So that's when I felt as though that they isolated him. We were isolating the husband while we were still dealing with the crowd inside. We had approximately 189 people, patrons inside the club that night.
we still had to maintain safety and security for the club itself. With that, and like I said, it was one gentleman that was being real belligerent. The police was 5 of them, was dealing with him. He got real belligerent with the police. So his actions caused the police to get involved for us. He was more direct with the police and as far as arguing with them. It wasn't per se of the club, you know, as far as he's coming from the club. He was more or less acting towards the police because the police, you know, came over to assist. Security did take care of the primary problem. We also isolated the husband because he was outside. We was talking him down while the police was dealing with the other guy. It was at approximately around like 1:15 at night when this did happen. So therefore, again, our concern was the safety for the patrons inside, make sure that both parties inside were still maintained, and also our security presence was still on the floor, and also getting people out safely. When the situation was going on outside and the police was involved, it was not in front of the club. It was like a little bit away from the club in the middle of the street. As far as when patrons was leaving out, we had to make sure we was directing patrons as far as going the right way so they won't get involved as far as the whole altercation in regards to that. So I just want to pretty much tell a story of what actually happened that day and also the roles that we did have.
Okay, Inspector, the report we have says that the security did not attempt to de-escalate the acts. Was that your observation?
I don't know what had happened prior to me arriving, Chairman. When I got there, there was two to three security guards outside talking to an individual. I don't know what their involvement was or how much they did not help. Before I arrived, when I got there, the fight had pretty much calmed down, and they were talking to two individuals. I did ask the owner and security if he would be willing to close early due to public safety. I told him that he's not required, but if he could, just to de-escalate the things, and they did comply with that request. But I couldn't tell you if they helped or did not help prior to me arriving.
Do you have any idea why the police are not here today?
I do not, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. The commissioners have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Well, this license has been with you since 2011, and this is about the 5th time that you've been before the board on violation, so it's not a great record.
It's the first time I've been in front.
I think you may, there've been some,
It was been a
there's been
transfer.
some, I believe, if I don't, there's some transitions, but you
I've
were
only had
added
it
to
for
the list.
for a year. Yeah.
Correct.
I haven't had it before.
Okay.
So in the year I had it, there hasn't been any violations.
So, was Mr. Jackson on the license previously?
Yes, previously.
Where is he?
He's not. He's no longer. Mustafa Jackson.
Yes.
Mustafa Jackson is not here today.
Is there a reason that he's not here?
He's actually out of town on work today.
Okay. Well, maybe we need to have a discussion about this. Do the commissioners feel that there is sufficient evidence here to support a violation?
It would be helpful to have the police officer here.
Right.
Obviously, which is a problem.
And they were served?
I don't have evidence of service.
Oh, we don't have evidence of service. Okay. Do we postpone it?
May I speak?
You probably shouldn't at this moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, could we have a minute, please?
Yes.
And if it's so. Thank you.
have a seat for a minute?
Well,
Sure. I was waiting for you.
No evidence.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there is no evidence that the officer involved in this case was ever served.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the testimony that we've received, I don't see a violation of our rules, so I would dismiss the violations if the other commissioners agree.
I concur.
I concur if we don't have testimony from the police
Violations
officer.
are dismissed. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Y'all enjoy your day.
thank you, sir.
I close this for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Officer Barzak. Thank you. No, nothing.
Thank you.
Jackson Lounge, Inc., trading as Roots Unlimited, 2148-52 Vine Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, on March the 7th, 2018. Please come forward.
Would all those who are going to testify in this matter, please come forward and raise your right hands. Ma'am, are you going to testify?
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Are you Miss Jackson, ma'am?
I'm Miss Jackson.
Okay. You're charged with a violation of Rule 3.12 on March 7 of this year. Do you wish to admit or deny the violation?
Well, it happened, so I would have to admit, but I want to deny. You can't do both.
It's hard to do both.
Yeah.
Well, tell us what happened.
I was sitting in package goods. It's an area, and you can look right to your front door. And the next thing I know, I heard a gunshot, and two people were tussling. And that was it.
So were these people in your package goods store?
They were in the package goods area of the store.
Had you noticed them before the gunshot?
I couldn't even tell you who they were.
I mean, was there a patron there and then someone came in and got into a fight with them, or did they come in together?
Well, there was a patron at the window that I was waiting, that was being waited on, and he went down. I don't know if he got shot or what. And then right down at the bottom of the door, at the bottom by the front door, that's where I saw the two people scuffling. And then I got down and called the police.
So the gunshot went off before you saw the scuffling?
The gunshot went off, yeah.
Do you know who got hit, if anyone?
No, somebody got hit, but I never found out who.
Okay. And they fled?
I know an ambulance, the police and the ambulance came.
But the shooter ran away?
Yeah, yes. I would imagine I didn't,
Okay.
I would imagine he ran away.
Okay. Detective, were you there? Called
I
to
got
the
there
scene?
after the fact.
Okay. Can you tell us what you observed?
I arrived on scene around 23:45 hours, 11:45 p.m. Once I got there, Western District DDU detectives as well as patrol were already on the scene processing it. They had already. There were some people inside the tavern side. They had pretty much secured that off, and because the crime scene was inside the foyer area, so they had already was processing that. So they had to keep patrons inside. to keep from, to at least to preserve the crime scene. From what I got from patrol, it was a male suspect and a male victim. The victim was shot in the leg, and the suspect fled the scene after that.
So, did you understand that they had come in to purchase carryout liquors and got into a fight, or that one was in there purchasing and the other one pursued him and shot him?
I can't, my opinion, I can't give you fact on that. I can just tell you that the victim was inside at the packaged goods, and then he was approached, where he was, and I assumed an altercation ensued, and it led to a shooting. The victim shot in the leg, and then the suspect fled the scene.
Are you the only one who works there, ma'am?
No.
Who else is there? Or who else was there on March 7?
The barmaid and the cook.
Okay. But you don't have any security at your place?
Not Tuesday and Wednesday, the slowest nights of the,
Have you ever had any violence in your facility before this?
violence in,
Fighting or anything like that where you've had to call the police?
yes,
Ever had a shooting before
outside,
from your patrons?
no. Outside.
Okay. Commissioner, I'm sorry.
But I was waiting on a guy, and like I said, he went down. I don't know if he got hit or if he ducked. Okay. But while I was waiting on him, it seemed like they just came from outside, because I heard the bang on the door, and they were scuffling, and the shot. In which order? It was so much chaos. I'm trying to wait on the guy. I don't know what order it was.
Do you know how many people were in your store at that time?
Oh, probably maybe 6 on the inside, and the one I was waiting on, and the 2 that came in.
When you say inside, you mean in the tavern part of
Mhm.
the restaurant?
See, you have to be buzzed into the tavern side, but you can walk in the packaged goods from the street.
Do you have security on other nights other than Tuesday and Thursday?
Friday, Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, mostly Friday and Saturday.
And how many security guards do you have?
Just one.
Is that person armed?
No.
Is it somebody who works for a security service, or is it just someone you hired?
Someone I hired.
They trained?
Well, he used to work at a couple of other clubs in that area, and when they closed, he came to us.
And we never learned what happened as to the shooter?
No, that's DDU, Western District DDU.
I'm troubled again, Commissioners. I don't know what this lady could have done.
So, Ms. Jackson, as I know you've been sitting in this afternoon hearing, and you know that this is sort of an ongoing issue with crime, and I noticed that you don't have security cameras in your establishment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that something you'd consider putting in? And also to Commissioner Hafey's question, where I'm sort of extending her question, which is, any thoughts to having security, armed security, on every day you're open?
Well, since then, he started wearing a bulletproof vest. That's the answer to that one. Armed security, I would have to research. And the other question was?
The security cameras?
Security cameras. I had planned on getting those.
Is it possible that he could work other days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah, but that's costly, and it's not, well, it is beneficial, but it's costly, that's all.
Well, if it becomes an ongoing problem, it's going to be even more costly for you.
Yeah.
Because, given the status of the violence in the city, there are lots of people who want to close establishments where the violence is occurring. So you really should give some serious thought to what is more effective in the long run in terms of your financial interests. But, Commissioners, what do you think? I really need some guidance because I'm, again, inclined to dismiss the violation.
This is a struggle because Ms. Jackson, I think, did as much as she could given the current circumstances. Of course, having additional security and security cameras would have been helpful. And unfortunately, this wasn't the only incident that's happened at your establishment in terms of violence. So there's been some indication of incidents at the establishment in the past, perhaps not as serious as this one.
I'm inclined, just reading Rule 3.12, I recognize that Ms. Jackson has implemented security and is looking at other issues, but I'm inclined to, just reading the rule, find a violation.
A specific part of the rule? Do you agree?
I would agree with Commissioner Hafey that there is some obligation on the licensee's part.
Okay, well, let's say there's a violation found of Rule 3.12 on March 7, 2018. The vote will be 2-1. What sanction, if any, would you impose?
$250, 30 days to pay.
I would concur with a $250 fine and 30 days to pay, with the understanding, Ms. Jackson, that you are a very nice lady. We don't want to see you back on a violation docket. So I'd encourage you to work with our staff to address security measures that you can take that might not be as costly as one would think, and that might be able to help prevent these instances in the future.
So the cameras, if I get them, would they go inside and outside, or?
I think you should get some guidance from the police as to what would be the most useful, because they'll want to have the tapes from the cameras.
Right, so you can share that information with the police department as well, which would be tremendously helpful. But I know our staff can help connect you and work through those issues.
Thank you.
I mean, we haven't really had guidance from the courts yet about this issue, but it is possible that because so many cases are coming before us now where there are acts of violence in or around premises, if they start to find that we should be holding licensees responsible for it, it's going to be a real problem for anybody who doesn't have adequate security and other measures in place. So that's why we're sort of giving you a heads up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Jackson. I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Reno. Thank you. Ms. Jackson, can you give it time? Thank you.
.12.
3.12. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, the officer for Downtown Lounge, West Baltimore Street, East Baltimore Street is here and was served for this.
The case that we already had?
Correct.
Is that you, officer?
Yes, sir. On the record here,
We're going to be on the record.
It's been a very busy day. I apologize to the commission.
That's okay. We just didn't believe that you had been served, so we went
Yes.
ahead and disposed of the case.
I was served. I got here as fast as I could. I do apologize.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
what's his name? What's your name?
I'm Lieutenant Steve Olson, Central District Inner Harbor Unit Commander.
I should attach this to which case? 'Cause I need a name.
It was
414-6 East Baltimore Street, Downtown Lounge. Thank you.
just indicate for the record that it's 1:57, and you say lieutenant?
Yes, sir.
The lieutenant is here now. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where are we?
Are you ready? Yes.
2300 West Baltimore Street LLC, trading as Club 2300, 2300 West Baltimore Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small I, Class BD7 licensees, open and operating tavern at all times on April the 6th, 2018. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky, 320 North Charles Street, representing the licensee.
Good afternoon. With those who are going to testify, raise your right hands, please.
Let me swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Admission or denial, Mr. Kadensky?
We'll do an admission,
Okay.
so you won't have a tough time.
So some explanation then?
Yeah, and this is a case where you have approved the transfer of this license probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. In the meantime, there was a transition between the new owner and the old owner, and they were trying to clean the place up a little bit. And quite frankly, the person was working there made the statement the bar was closed. The new licensing has been advised that at all times both sides have to be open. I think it's sometime after that one of the inspectors may have came back in and saw that the place was open and operational. I have pictures showing that the bars, people were, in fact, I know some of the people were sitting at the bar. It was amazing, having a drink over there. But the new licensee, I told him to come here so he would hear, that he has to keep both sides open.
So my record says that the license transferred back in 2015. Is that
No,
inaccurate?
but there was another one been approved that hasn't been completed yet.
So what is your client's name?
The one is the current licensee, and the
But
other
what's
one's
his
the
name?
incoming. Singh.
Okay. And Mr. Samra is the current licensee? Or who? Who has the license now, I guess I'm
He has the license now.
Mr. Singh. And you transferring it? Is that what you're saying?
Right, yeah, and you had a hearing on it.
Okay.
And they were in the process of, getting everything done and cleaned up and for getting the inspections done. Unfortunately, the person that was in, let me see, here's the date, June 7th, 2018, you had the hearing.
Okay.
So we were in the process of doing that.
So that was approved at that hearing?
Yeah, and then, but it hasn't been completed because we need UNO, Building, Fire, Electrical, Health, and we're trying to do some cleanup, so forth, and
But Mr. Kadensky, this event happened on April 6th, so that would have been before the transfer took place.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in the meantime, the other owner was in because there was some question whether what part of the building actually had the license first or second floor. And they were trying to determine that because this place had, the first and second floor had a license approved years ago. For whatever reason, in the last couple of transfers, only the first floor showed up on it. And I can show you, here's,
Mr. Chairman.
yeah.
The use of the building is determined by zoning, not by this agency. Licensees of record is Mr. Shamra and Mr. Singh. There's a transfer pending. They have not physically transferred at this time.
Yeah, but this agency, did the issue, and they were approved first and second floor. Well, Mr. Wallace had the place, because I have the license there.
Mr. Chairman, upon transferring, when they present to the agency a use and occupancy permit, we put on the license what's on the use and occupancy permit issued by zoning.
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying is that there was some confusion And the reason, because they were talking, here's a bar on the second floor. It has nothing to do with this, but they're trying to get things settled. In the meantime, I explained to them that they could not go to the second floor unless they had a zoning hearing, got a UNO for an extension of a non-conforming use under the Baltimore Municipal Zoning Appeals Rules and Regulations of the City of Baltimore.
I'm confused. What does the second floor have to do with?
It doesn't,
Okay.
except that they were in the process of trying to get things ready for the transfer.
If I may, Ms. Commissioner, one of the violations was that we saw work being done on the second floor and a bar being built. So in my report, I put that there was work being completed upstairs without board approval.
That's not what they're charged with.
That's right.
No.
That's what's in my report.
Right, so
But
that's
that-
what Mr. Kadinsky is referring to.
Correct.
By way of explanation, but mitigation, but not absolution.
But you see, none of us commissioners had seen that, so we didn't know what you were talking
Right.
about.
Well, that's refreshing to know that, 'cause that was really my argument, that you guys used to see the things that before we ever had evidence, but I'll submit at that point.
Okay. Do you all have any questions about the violation before us?
Other than I'd like to, take some of Mr. Kadinsky's time later tonight to speak about other things.
Be a tale of two cities.
All right, thank you. Anything
peace.
further?
And if I think the new owner now is forearmed, is forewarned, et cetera, and the old owner wants to go off into the sunset.
Okay.
On the second
On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, your admission of the violation, I would find, and your proffers, I'd find, and the testimony, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.120, small c, small double I, open and operating tavern at all times on April 6, 2018. I'd impose a $500 fine and give them 30 days to pay it.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.2020, little c, little I, on April 6, 2018, and I concur with the imposition of a $500 fine with 30 days to pay.
I find a violation of Rule 4.20C, two little i's, and agree with the imposition of a $500 fine, and I have no position on the use and occupancy issue.
Neither do I.
Thank you. Good luck with the second floor bar.
Let the work go forth, so be it. Let it be written, let it be said.
Let cause exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report. Detective Greenhill. Board Exhibit 2, investigation report, Agent John Chrisomalis. Thank you.
We're going to get those 30 minutes back.
Thank you.
Chesley Liquors, 6902-02A, Harford Road. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license here for violation of Rule 3.02, cooperation on January the 26th, 2018. Violation of Rule 3.08A, sanitation and safety on January the 26th, 2018. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Yeah, for the record, Gary Maslin on behalf of the licensees.
Good afternoon. Would all those who are going to testify raise your right hands, please?
You swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Mission or denial?
Deny.
Okay, and who's going to testify?
I will, sir.
Okay, Detective Gatto.
Things I need to reflect to it. On this date, 1/26/2018, Social Club Task Force was equipped with Liquor Board, Agent Chrisomalis, and investigators Perez, members of the Baltimore City Health Department, Captain Quarles from the Baltimore City Fire Department, myself, and Detective Greenhill. We went to this location in reference to a Social Club Task Force bar inspection. Upon arrival, the male standing to my right in a gray shirt, glasses on, who was later identified as, I believe, Mr. Salmons, immediately said, "What are you guys here for? Does the city need money or something?" I responded and told him, "No, we're here for an inspection." At this time, members of our task force were asking him to provide the necessary paperwork that should be at the location to be in operation, one of which was a fire permit. Yeah, I object to, it says members, is he testifying to somebody, what somebody else said, or what he said? The fire department, the health department, I'd the object liquor to their board. I object to them testifying that they're not here to be Standing- cross-examination. Standing right here.
I'm sorry.
But
And these are the same permits that I would be asking for as well.
my objection goes to the fact, I don't believe that that inspector is the health department and the fire department. He's an inspector.
I
an
get
employee.
your objection, which is based on hearsay, and I'll overrule.
Again, these are all articles that I would also be looking for, so there'd be numerous agencies looking for the same thing. Mr. Sammons could not provide any of these things when asked to produce his Maryland photo identification. He said he doesn't have one. He later, after calling and leaving messages to, I believe, the licensee, then just pulls his ID out of his pocket, which he had the whole time. It was a complete and utter cooperation issue as myself, Agent Chris Malice, Detective Greenhill, Captain Quarles, who is not here, from the fire department, asked for permits which were never produced. At this time, Captain Quarles of the fire department, because the necessary fire department paperwork was not available to any of us, closed the location and ordered a cease and desist. All events occurred in Baltimore City, state of Maryland.
Is it still closed?
Sir, I do not believe so, because the fire department would then come back on a Monday or a Tuesday, do a reinspection, and then issue them anew if they did not have it, if they discarded it or threw it away, or if it magically appears, which I'm sure occurred. So I'm under the impression that they
I
would.
object. He's thrown in his gratuitous comments. It's really,
But
it's
I can-
highly objectional and inflammatory.
I can understand what is relevant and what's not. So, do you know, is it open?
Absolutely. The issue was that they did not have he could not locate the fire department permit. This place was inspected. It was, the permit was issued. They had the permit. He could not put his hand on it. It was closed the entire weekend. He lost his sales from Friday and Saturday. He couldn't get the.
And whose fault is that?
Pardon me?
Whose fault is that?
It's
He-
well, it was because he couldn't have the permit. He
He
went down
lied
Monday.
to our people about his own ID,
No,
and
he
then he
didn't.
didn't produce the permit.
You're making a conclusion, Judge, before.
Well,
you've
that
heard
was
all
the
evidence.
testimony.
That was his testimony?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Judge.
No, it's all right.
But my client went down the very next Monday morning when he could go down, and he secured a copy of his permit and put it up on the wall.
You're talking about
He was
Mr. Lee?
Mr. Lee.
Yes, okay.
That's right. It wasn't that the permit was ever issued. It wasn't that they found any violations. Not one violation. Not one violation of the health department, the fire department. Any of the multiple agencies that were there could not find one minutia violation.
It's
other
not a
than the fact-
violation not to have your permit on the
No, I don't
premises?
believe it is, Your Honor. I don't believe it is. The code section, which
What was the
they're-
basis for closing then?
the basis that they're closing was they couldn't produce a permit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If that's not a violation, why would you be able to close on that?
Well, I don't think they could close.
But
I
they
disagree
did.
with them. He did.
So have you challenged that?
No, I don't
Okay.
challenge, it was too late to challenge it because it was already closed, that the barn door's been closed and he's out. The point is, Judge, at no point, nowhere in your regulations does it specify that a fire permit has to be posted in an establishment. I'll cite you to the code section, which he's alleged to have violated his 3 point, I'm sorry. 3 point, give me a minute. It's 3.08 is the code section. 3.08A is the section. And it says licensees shall operate their establishment in accordance with the requirements of the Baltimore Department of Housing and Community Development, City Police Department, and other applicable city, state, federal laws, rules, and regulations. That is the section of the law. That section.
I've got it in front of me.
There, that section doesn't specify, Judge, that the permit has to be placed on a law. That's what he's
Well,
charged
if
with.
it's a regulation of the fire department, it
Well,
does.
there's nobody here from the fire department to state what the regulation is.
I hear you.
Where's the regulation?
I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
Okay.
You gotta make findings of facts based on law and
I
facts.
understand that.
All right.
But
I
thank you for the
suggest-
assistance.
No, you're welcome. Here's the code, all right?
I hear you.
So let's be fair to a licensee. If this board expects a licensee to have those permits, you ought to put it in your rules and regulations. This is what the liquor board publishes, this is what the liquor board gives to licensees, and now they're coming back and saying, hey, you violated our rules and regulations. You don't even specify, not you, but the board doesn't even specify it. So let's be a little more succinct and fair to the licensees of this city.
In fact, Mr. Maslin, if there were evidence here from the fire department, we probably could comply with this, but it's not here, so you've beat that horse to death.
Thank you very much. Now, as to the other one, I'd like to call this gentleman here. You come in, state your name.
Good afternoon,
for
Your
the
Honor.
record.
Johnny Salmons.
Mr. Thomas, how old are you, sir?
I'm 56,
How far-
57,
How far did you go to school?
college.
All right. Now, Mr. Salmons, when the police came in and asked for your ID, did you have a driver's license?
No, I didn't. I did not.
You don't have a driver's license.
I do not have a driver's license.
When they asked you for an ID, you couldn't produce a driver's license, is that correct?
They asked me for a driver's license. and
All
I
right, so
couldn't
they
produce
asked, they asked you again for some ID, is that correct?
it. Correct.
Show them what you produced. Coming with you today?
Yes. Produced,
All right, so after the second
Identification.
time around, you produced this.
Okay.
Which is an identification card issued to you by the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Correct.
You did produce it.
Yes, sir.
All right. And that was on the second request, is that correct? After
That
you
is
asked him
correct.
for a driver's license, you said you didn't have one, and then he kept pushing you and you came up with an identification.
I had
and
to
that's
go out in the
identification.
car and get it, yes. We don't carry a wallet because of robberies.
You're afraid of being robbed, that's why. you
I'm
don't
afraid
have
of
it
my
with you.
stuff, yes.
Has that store been robbed before?
Yes, many times.
All right. So I would suggest, that's all we have from this gentleman. So I would suggest to Your Honor that my client, although he doesn't have a driver's license, he couldn't produce one, you can't produce something you don't have.
I heard his testimony. Do the commissioners have questions?
They did produce an ID. So he complied with the officer's request. Might have complied the second he asked for, there might have been a slight pause, but there was identification given. I'd submit that that's not sufficient to suggest the violation of rule that he's alleged under the charging document.
Do you have questions?
I don't have any questions.
Do you have
I
any-
have questions. I have questions for Agent Chris Amalis.
Go ahead.
Agent, I want to go back, if I could, to the Rule 3.08A, this permit issue. Are permits required to be posted in establishments?
Agent Chris Amalis, Baltimore City Liquor Board. So as, with the fire, the permits do need to be posted in establishments. And part of the rules and regulations state that you have to comply with all city and state agencies. The fire department's rule is that a fire permit has to be displayed at all times. There has been other situations where I've been present to where the fire marshal has shut down a location and later to find out that they did have a permit, but it wasn't displayed. And their practice is, if it's not displayed for health and safety issues, they will shut down an establishment.
I'm going to object, move to strike everything that he's saying here, of course.
Yeah, I'll deny the motion, but I hear you.
Oh, was I out of? Okay, last question is, as a member of the Social Club Task Force, do you, Detective Gatto, have the authority to cite someone based upon fire department rules and regulations?
So as part, I can't speak for the police department, which I'm sure they do what we do. As part of the liquor board and the social task force, we are, if it's a licensed liquor establishment, we are to make sure that they are up to permits and codes with all city agencies. So when we go in, same way we look at the controller's trader's license, same way we look for a health department license, we look for a fire permit, we look for a zoning permit.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
Anything else?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. When we first opened and were inspected by Fire Marshal John, we asked him if we needed any kind of permits or papers. He said, no, I have everything here. You wouldn't open unless I had it. And that was back in 2013, I believe. So he never even gave us a permit or anything. He said, they know you're open. I inspected you. and I don't remember his last name, but his name at the time was Fire Marshal John.
Okay. Anything further?
No, I would suggest that there hasn't been sufficient evidence permitted of their failure to cooperate with the agency when they did produce a valid ID. It might not have been as quickly as they liked, but it was produced.
May the record reflect that if you look at my fence report, it states that I asked for a Maryland identification photo.
Yeah.
And not a driver's license.
Okay. Anything further?
Every time we get inspected, though, Your Honor, they never, our licenses are always on display, everything. We're up to par. I even have a picture of it on my phone. They've never asked for a fire permit. This was the first time. It was like 11:45. It was Friday night. We totally cooperated. The one officer in the green shirt here, we thought he was going to hurt us, me and my partner. He was just screaming and hollering at us.
Of course.
And
Mr. Sammons, he's actually smaller than he used to be. Trying to give a little levity to this.
I can see that. Yeah, he seems a little thinner. It's warmer.
All right.
Made
You know,
that
we were
dates
just
from
trying
the
to
show.
cooperate. Fire permit, I'm like, we're not burning them. I didn't know what he meant. He didn't tell me. I'm like, what, to burn something? We didn't know what he meant.
All right.
We were
I think that's sufficient. So on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and the testimony received, I would find a violation of Rule 3.02 cooperation on January 26, 2018. I don't find the witness's testimony particularly credible on that issue. And I would impose a $500 fine, and I would give him 30 days to pay it. I don't find a violation of Rule 3.08A.
I too find a violation of Rule 3.02 cooperation on January 26, 2018, and that is based on the testimony here today as well as the documents that we've reviewed, and I concur with the $500 imposition of that fine. I differ. I do find a violation of Rule 3.08A on January 26, 2018, and I would impose a $300 fine for a total of $800, 30 days to pay.
I find a violation of 3.02 and would agree with an imposition of $500 fine. And I will concur with Commissioner Hayfie in the finding of a violation of 3.08A and agree with the $300 fine.
Can I just be heard one point? The fire department did issue a citation that day, and it was a $100 fine that they did. So I would ask the board to accept that as sufficient for that violation.
I think it's my colleagues. I didn't find a violation.
I know you didn't, Judge, but I think it's almost like a double jeopardy situation where the fire department comes out, issues a citation, and then you come before this board for the same exact violation.
I'm not sure double jeopardy attaches here, but
Well, it is a double whammy. So I'd ask you to consider that.
I understand your point, but I'm fine with the $300 imposition of the fine.
You know, I'll concur with Commissioner Hayfie. I mean, Mr. Maslin, with all due respect, you can't have it both ways. You
Right.
can't say that the fire department doesn't have a problem, or as Mr. Sammons testified, that they said everything's kosher, so to speak, and then to tell us that you were fined previously,
Well-
and that should be deducted.
Well, with due respect, you can't even find a regulation that requires them to post the permit. There's no evidence that's been before this commission. His Honor recognizes that.
that's why there are appeals. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Maslin? Life exhibits for the record. Exhibit 1, Baltimore City Police Department report, Detective Gatto. Thank you.
I don't have any money. I'm not getting up.
Nagash Inc., trading as Bayview Liquors and Upper Level Lounge, 3804 Eastern Avenue. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small I, Class BD7 licensees, open and operating tavern at all times on April the 13th, 2018. Please come forward.
Would all those who are going to testify raise their right hands, please?
about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Admission or denial, sir?
This is I guess would be an admission with a lot of qualified mitigating factors and
That's fine.
circumstances. The task force came into this establishment, if I could offer some pictures to the board. That's a picture of the bar in question. It's a very beautiful, there's the 3-compartment sink. There's a beer cooler, which is in the back of the establishment. That is that's the bar. You'll see it's a very long bar there. And what occurred here was the lady who runs this bar, the bar portion of it, child became ill. She had to go. My client did not have anyone else to go over there and man the bar. As a result of that, when the task force came in, they asked the employee downstairs, "Is the bar open?" And the employee said, "No, it's not." Although it was equipped, ready to go, operating, they said they didn't see any cold beer. It's behind the counter, low down on low boy refrigerated cases. So he understands his obligation to keep it open at all times. He's staffing up the place with more people so that this doesn't reoccur. Is that correct, Mr. Nagash?
Yes.
Is
Okay.
there anything else you'd like to say? You feel like a puppet,
I don't have
pulling the
any
strings around.
Anything else?
Just Chief Inspector Mark Fossler, Baltimore City Liquor Board. Just that I know where coolers are, even when they're low, and that there was no beer, not warm, not cold. And this is the photo that I took of the bar.
Have you shown it to Mr. Maslin?
The cooler's all the way back. Yeah.
I know where the cooler was, but there's one chair in this whole long, beautiful bar, and there's another picture of the 3-compartment sink. If the bar was open and operating, then all these things would have been different. So that's all I have to say.
Questions?
Yeah, Mr. Foster, the 3-compartment sink is there to wash glasses, is that correct?
That's true.
All right, if he serves everything in plastic cups, there wouldn't be any need to keep a 3-compartment sink running.
That's true.
Okay. Mr. Nagash, do you have glasses in that bar? How do you serve your drinks?
I use the plastic, clear plastic one.
So you don't use the 3-compartment sink, was that?
Anything further?
No.
Okay, on the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, the proffers, and the admission, I'd find a violation of Rule 4.20, small c, small I, on April 13, 2018. It's the first time he's been charged with this, but there are 3 sailed and minor violations. I'd impose.
I don't, Judge, I don't believe it was on this license.
It's on
It may have
the
been
Class A license. Corporation.
Was it
Oh,
not?
they were
This
on a
is new.
different license, okay.
Yes, this is
It's on
a
the
new license.
Corporation, you said?
Sorry, Judge, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's a good correction. Okay, so this is the first violation. So I would impose a $300 fine, and I would give him 30 days to pay it.
I too find a violation of Rule 4.20, little c, little I, on April 13, 2018, and I concur with the imposition of a $300 fine and 30 days to pay.
I find a violation of Rule 4.20C, little I, and would agree with the imposition of a $300 fine.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a good day. You gotta get your paper.
Mr. Page, is that the docket for today?
Have exhibits.
Oh, yes, thank you.
I'd like to call exhibits to the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report. Chief Inspector Mark Fossler. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Ms.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until Thursday, July the 19th, 2018, 11 a.m. We are adjourned. Thank you.
So you can turn it off. Turn it down on the side. That's all right.
They haven't changed their mind, have you, Mia? What do you
I
think?
actually like the song that you had.
What do you
I'm
think?
not sure you picked that one out.
I did.